Welcome back to the channel, USA Coins 69, where pocket change becomes treasure and forgotten coins come back to life with unbelievable stories of value. Today we're unlocking the secrets behind one of the most intriguing coins ever produced by the United States Mint, the Lincoln 1-cent penny from 1966 with mint marks. This tiny copper coin has lived through over half a century of American history, often tossed around without a second thought, yet certain rare versions in exceptional condition have become the stuff of collector legend. If you've ever wondered whether that old penny hiding in a drawer could be worth more than you ever imagined, stay with me right until the end, because this unassuming little cent from 1966 could be hiding an incredible surprise. To appreciate the true potential value of the 1966 penny, we must travel back in time to a moment when America was filled with tension, transformation, and optimism. In 1966, Lyndon B. Johnson was president, the Vietnam War was raging, civil rights protests swept through city streets, and popular culture was exploding with music, movies, and style. In the midst of all this chaos, the United States Mint was facing an unusual situation. Coin shortages had occurred in the early part of the decade and collectors were hoarding coins faster than new ones could be produced. As a result, the U.S. Mint made the bold decision to temporarily remove mint marks from coins produced in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, hoping to keep collectors from hunting down coins from specific mints. That's right, even though these pennies came from 3 different cities, they all looked identical with no mint mark at all. Little did anyone know that this decision would eventually turn certain 1966 pennies into extraordinarily valuable collector items. Now, take a close look at the elegant design of the coin. On the obverse, or front, is the timeless image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States and a symbol of freedom and unity. Designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait is filled with rich detail from the lines of his hair to the thoughtful expression in his eye. Encircling him are the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," with the date 1966 sitting boldly to the right. Flip the coin over and you'll instantly recognize the Lincoln Memorial standing tall as a powerful symbol of endurance and justice. Its beautifully carved columns and steps, taken straight from Washington, D.C., surround a tiny statue of Lincoln at its center if you look closely enough. Above the memorial are the words "United States of America" and the proud motto "E Pluribus Unum," while the bottom reads 1 cent, but what truly matters to collectors are the finer details hidden among these familiar inscriptions. Because mint marks were removed, what separates an ordinary penny from a fortune today is condition and error. Most 1966 pennies were used hard, sliding around in wallets, banging against keys, getting lost under couches, and slowly turning dark from handling and oxidation. These everyday coins are still common and worth only face value. But a precious few were set aside immediately or ended up in collectors' proof sets. These coins remain in glorious uncirculated condition with glowing red copper surfaces, no scratches, and incredibly crisp detailing. When coins like these are graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC and receive high mint state grades like MS65, MS66, or, very rarely, even higher, their value skyrockets among collectors fighting to own one of the finest surviving examples in existence, and that's only half of the story. What really sends excitement through the numismatic world are the 1966 penny error coins. These rare minting mistakes include dramatic double-die obverse specimens where parts of the date or lettering appear twice due to a striking error. They also include off-center strikes where Lincoln's head might appear shifted toward the rim, clipped planchets where a section is actually missing from the coin's shape, die cracks that form strange raised lines across the surface, and floating roof varieties where the top of the Lincoln Memorial appears detached from the columns beneath it. Each of these bizarre mistakes creates a unique artifact, no two exactly the same, and collectors are willing to pay outrageously high prices to add these error coins to their collections. So how do you know if your 1966 penny is valuable? Start by examining its color under bright light. A genuine uncirculated coin will still blaze with bright red luster in a way that instantly stands out from circulated brown or faded cents. Check Lincoln's cheek and jaw. Are they sharp and untouched, or dull and worn? Look closely at the Lincoln Memorial steps and columns for complete, crisp lines rather than flat or blurred areas. Then inspect all lettering for any doubling or shadow effects, and feel along the rim to see if the coin's shape is complete or if there is a clipped planchet. Even small details like oddly placed bumps might be a sign of a valuable die crack. If your penny appears flawless, unusual, or brilliantly shiny, you might want to submit it to a grading service, because that is how pocket change can turn into an auction superstar. With the popularity of Lincoln cents exploding among new generations of collectors, high-grade and unusual 1966 pennies are rising rapidly in value. Auction results continue to surprise experts as more people realize their childhood coin jars and inherited collections could contain spectacular finds. That's why now is the ideal time to search through every penny you have, whether it's rolling around in a junk drawer, hiding in a piggy bank, stashed away in an old safe, or tucked into the edges of your car seats. The next coin you examine could be far more than just an old memory from the 1960s, it could be a historic treasure waiting to reveal its stunning worth. Today, we're exploring a penny that may look plain and ordinary at first glance but has the power to deliver an incredible fortune into the hands of a lucky collector. That's right, we're talking about the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent penny from 1980 with mint marks, a coin that hundreds of millions of people have spent without thinking twice, yet a rare few examples hidden amongst them have exploded in value on the collector's market. From dramatic mint errors to high-grade uncirculated specimens, this everyday penny has become a modern legend. So sit tight, get your coin jar ready, and stay with me right to the end, because after this video, you might just end up digging through your change like never before. 1980 marked the dawn of a brand new decade. America was shifting from disco to digital, inflation was making headlines, and the United States Mint was pushing out coins at record pace to keep up with the booming economy. Lincoln pennies from this year were struck in 3 locations: Philadelphia, where coins were left without a mint mark; Denver, which proudly used a bold letter D; and San Francisco, where stunning proof coins featured an elegant S. Even though these pennies were mass-produced by the hundreds of millions, collectors have discovered that only a tiny number have survived in flawless condition, untouched by circulation, and those are the coins now selling for unbelievable amounts of money. Let's take a closer look at the beloved design we've seen a million times but rarely appreciate. On the obverse side is the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, strong, wise, and instantly recognizable. His face is carved with exquisite detail in the hair, beard, and deep lines of his cheek, all created by artist Victor David Brenner. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1980 curve around him in bold letters. Flip the penny over and the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, the towering columns, visible statue of Lincoln between them, and fine steps below are all crafted to perfection. Beneath the memorial sits the denomination 1 cent framed by United States of America and E Pluribus Unum. Just above the memorial is the tiny mint mark, no mark for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. That tiny letter could be the key to unlocking a fortune. What transforms this common penny into a rare treasure comes down to 2 crucial things: perfect condition and striking mint errors. Most 1980 pennies lived hard lives, jingling in pockets, rubbing against car keys, being tossed into piggy banks, vending machines, and cash registers. These circulated pennies are everywhere, and they're worth just 1 cent. But some coins escape circulation entirely and remain in brilliant uncirculated condition. These glowing beauties are known as red mint state coins, reflecting fiery copper luster as if they were just struck. When graded by professional services like NGC or PCGS and awarded high scores such as MS66, MS67, or higher, they become extremely valuable to collectors who are fiercely competing to own the best examples. Then there are the incredible error coins, minting mistakes that turn an ordinary penny into something truly extraordinary and unique. Some 1980 Lincoln pennies were struck off center, meaning Lincoln's portrait was stamped on the coin shifted far from the center, occasionally leaving blank crescent-shaped areas. Other examples include doubled die varieties, where letters or numbers look like they've been struck twice, the date, the word liberty, or even the memorial staircase can show ghost-like duplicated impressions. Clipped planchets, where a chunk of the coin is missing, and die cracks creating raised lines are just a few more errors that can catapult this small copper coin into the spotlight. Because each error is different, collectors are willing to pay massive premiums for coins that have unusual and dramatic flaws. So how do you find out if your 1980 penny is one of these gold mine coins? First, grab a bright light and a magnifying glass. Study Lincoln's face. Does the cheekbone, beard, and hair show crisp, sharp details without any flattening? Does the coin still glow with a bright red copper finish? If so, you may be in the presence of an uncirculated coin. Next, carefully flip to the reverse side and examine the Lincoln Memorial. Can you see individual steps, crisp columns, and a well-struck statue? Inspect the mint mark closely. Pennies from Denver and San Francisco often have slightly higher desirability in top grades. Now take a slow look across all the lettering, search for doubling, irregular spacing, strange curves, cracks, or missing pieces of metal. These tiny indicators may reveal that you're holding a valuable mint error. Anything that looks highly detailed, especially shiny, or unusual is worth sending off to a grading service for certification. This is where major value is confirmed and protected. The Lincoln penny continues to be one of the most beloved coins of all time, and the 1980 issue is now in the spotlight thanks to collectors hunting for modern rarities. As years pass and pristine coins disappear into private collections, auction prices are soaring higher than ever before. This makes it the perfect moment to go hunting through your old change collections, forgotten jars packed away in attics or closets, bankers' rolls, and collections inherited from parents or grandparents. What looks like a simple copper coin could very well be a life-changing discovery hiding in plain sight. The thrill of uncovering a treasure is what makes coin collecting so magical, and all it takes is curiosity, patience, and a sharp eye. Today, we're uncovering the secrets of a coin so ordinary looking that you might walk right past it on the sidewalk, yet certain rare examples are now selling for unbelievable amounts of money. This episode dives deep into the world of the United States Lincoln 1-cent penny from 1981 with mint marks, a coin that millions of people have spent without thinking twice. But hidden among these common pennies are extraordinary rarities, flawless uncirculated versions and stunning mint errors that have collectors bidding tens of thousands of dollars. By the time we reach the end of this video, you'll be racing to dig through your change, because the very next coin you check might be your ticket to a small fortune. The year 1981 was a fascinating moment in American history. Ronald Reagan had just taken office, the economy was recovering from recession, the MTV era was launching a revolution in pop culture, and the United States Mint was running at full steam to produce coins for a booming consumer society. Lincoln pennies struck this year came from three mints: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark; Denver, which proudly stamped the letter D next to the date; and San Francisco, which struck dazzling proof coins etched with an elegant S. Even though more than 7 billion Lincoln pennies were produced in 1981, only a microscopic number survived the decades in spectacular, untouched condition, and that tiny minority now commands massive prices on the collector's market. Now, take a closer look at this little copper masterpiece you might have in your pocket right now. On the front, or obverse, is the familiar and stately portrait of Abraham Lincoln, who has graced the penny since 1909. His hair is full of fine, intricate lines, his eyes hold a quiet strength, and his beard is sharply defined. Curving over his head is the motto "In God We Trust," while liberty rests to his left, and the date 1981 lies just beside his shoulder, often accompanied by that tiny mint mark. Flip the coin over, and you find the powerful Lincoln Memorial, columns, steps, and even a tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside, all glowing in miniature detail. United States of America arches proudly above, with 1 cent below. It's so familiar, and yet, for collectors, even the tiniest details can mean the difference between a common cent and a highly prized collectible worth thousands. The real value of a 1981 penny depends first on one simple test: condition. The pennies that entered circulation were tossed in cash drawers, handled by thousands of people, scraped by car keys, and tumbled through machines. These are worth only their face value. But a few rare coins avoided circulation entirely. These were preserved in rolls, stashed in mint sets, or pulled straight from the bank and stored away. They still shine with bright, red copper luster, the kind of brilliance that only freshly minted coins have. When these perfect survivors are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and awarded top-tier mint state grades like MS66, MS67, or even higher, their value skyrockets. Collectors fight fiercely to own these pristine coins because every year, fewer and fewer remain, but there's another reason some 1981 pennies are so valuable: minting errors. These accidental wonders were created during the production process at the mint, mistakes that slipped through quality control and made it into circulation. Imagine discovering a doubled die penny where the lettering of Liberty or the date appears shadowed or doubled, a proof of a powerful and highly collectible striking error. Some pennies were hit off center, leaving Lincoln's face cut off by the rim, while others were struck on Ms.-shaped blanks called clipped planchets. There are pennies with die cracks that look like lightning bolts, repunched mint marks where the letter was struck twice, and pennies so misaligned that they look like modern art. These error coins are cherished precisely because they are different, and one of a kind treasure is every collector's dream. So how do you know whether your 1981 penny could be worth more than just 1 cent? Start by examining Lincoln's face. If the cheek, beard, and jawline are sharp, it means the coin hasn't been worn much. Then, tilt the coin in the light. Does it still gleam with a fiery red copper shine? That's a sign it could be uncirculated. Look closely at the lettering, especially Liberty, the date, and mint mark, to check for any doubling or distortions. Flip it over and stare at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Are they flat and worn, or crisp and fully defined? Full, distinct steps mean the coin was struck well, and that's a big bonus in the collector's world. Pennies from the Denver Mint with a strong D or the San Francisco proof with mirror-like reflection are especially desirable in the highest grades. If your coin looks flawless or unusual in any way, it is absolutely worth sending to a coin grading service, because that is where everyday change turns into life-changing profit. Interest in Lincoln cents from the late 1970s and early 1980s is surging right now. Collectors who once ignored these modern pennies have suddenly started paying serious attention as high-grade examples begin disappearing into private collections. Auction prices are rising quickly, and new discoveries are making headlines. That's why this is the perfect time to check your own stash, search through bank rolls, jars of coins at home, collections inherited from parents or grandparents, and even that spare change floating around in your car or kitchen drawer. You never know. The rarest pennies are often found where no one expects them, mixed in with piles of ordinary coins. Today we're revealing one of the most exciting pennies ever produced by the United States Mint, the Lincoln 1-cent penny from 1982 with mint marks. This is not just any old copper penny. This is the year everything changed. A year filled with transition, rare varieties, shocking minting mistakes, and unbelievably valuable specimens now selling for jaw-dropping prices at auction. Stay tuned to the very end, because once you understand why this penny is so special, you'll be racing to check every last coin in your collection. 1982 was a revolutionary moment for America's favorite coin. For over 70 years, the Lincoln cent had been made mostly of copper. But suddenly in 1982, due to rising metal prices, the United States Mint made a dramatic switch to cheaper zinc-based planchets plated with just a thin layer of copper. That seems like a simple change, until you realize that many different versions were made as the mint hurriedly transitioned between materials, dyes, and designs. That's how this one single year produced multiple different varieties: large date copper pennies, small date copper pennies, large date zinc pennies, small date zinc pennies, as well as Denver Mintmark D varieties and Philadelphia No Mintmark varieties, not to mention highly sought-after proof coins out of San Francisco. Every combination of date style, metal type, and mint mark must be examined carefully by collectors, because some varieties are extremely rare and worth a fortune. Now, let's appreciate the familiar face on this extraordinary cent. Abraham Lincoln remains proudly on the obverse of the coin, his deep-lined cheek, furrowed brow, and iconic beard captured in breathtaking detail. Surrounding him are the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the 4-digit date 1982. You may notice something curious about that date. On some coins the digits look bold and chunky, known as the large date style, while on others the numbers are slimmer and more delicately shaped, known as the small date style. Flip the coin over and the mighty Lincoln Memorial rises into view, its pillars symbolizing American strength and unity. Peer closely beneath it and you will search for the mint mark. Some coins carry no mint mark at all, meaning they were struck in Philadelphia, others proudly display AD for Denver, and the finest mirror-like proof coins struck for collectors in San Francisco bear a graceful S. Because there were so many varieties created during this transitional year, only a tiny number from each group were preserved in perfect condition. And that's exactly why 1982 pennies in flawless uncirculated state are so incredibly valuable today. Most pennies were tossed into circulation, rattled around in pockets, scraped against keys, and darkened or scarred over time by handling, humidity, or oxidation. But a rare few never entered circulation at all. These are the sharp, gleaming red, mint-state specimens, often graded MS66, MS67, or even MS68 by PCGS and NGC. These coins retain their fiery copper colors, show crisp lines in Lincoln's hair and beard, and reveal flawless detail in the steps of the memorial. Collectors battle fiercely over these coins, especially those that happen to be small-date copper or large-date zinc in top condition, which are among the least common pairings from this chaotic transition year, and then there are the 1982 era coins. These are the accidental superstars created when the mint's machinery went a little bit wrong. There are double die obverse where the wording appears doubled or ghosted. There are off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait drifts dangerously toward the rim, leaving a crescent of blank space. There are clipped planchets missing chunks of copper along the edge. There are even transitional errors where a small-date design was mistakenly struck on a copper planchet instead of zinc, producing varieties so rare that only a handful are known to exist worldwide. These are the types of coins worth thousands, even tens of thousands, of dollars to serious collectors, simply because they should not exist. So how can you tell if your 1982 penny is valuable? Start with a magnet and a scale. If your penny sticks to a magnet, it's fake, but if not, place it on a scale. Copper pennies should weigh about 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies weigh just 2.5 grams. That tells you which metal you've got. Next, inspect the date. Look closely at the shapes of the digits 8 and 2 to determine whether yours is a large or small date. Then check for a mint mark. No mark means Philadelphia, D means Denver, S is proof from San Francisco. Look at the fields and surfaces. Is the coin still fiery red, without scratches, spotting, or stains? Does Lincoln's jawline remain sharp? Are the steps of the memorial crisp and complete? These are strong signs of high grade. Now examine every letter and number for doubling, cracks, or odd gaps. Is the rim perfectly round or is there a clipped planchet? If your penny has even one of these special traits, it may be worth far more than pocket change. Coin hunters and collectors are flocking to 1982 pennies because they are one of the most complex and fascinating coins ever struck in the modern era. And here's the exciting part, the best examples are still out there waiting to be discovered, tucked away in jars of coins, dusty basements, inherited boxes, bank rolls piled away for decades, or even circulating right now between stores, gas pumps, and vending machines. As auction prices rise higher each year, now is the perfect time to begin your search. And remember to handle your coins carefully, inspect them slowly, and always double-check your unusual finds with reputable grading services. Today's episode uncovers the amazing story of a little coin that millions have handled without a second thought, the United States Lincoln 1-cent penny from 1974 with mint marks. It may seem like just another ordinary copper penny, but down beneath its simple exterior lies a world of hidden varieties, dramatic mint errors, and rare high-grade survivors that are now selling for staggering amounts of money. So sit down, grab your magnifying glass, and stay with me until the very end, because after this video, you'll find yourself rushing to check every penny in your possession. The year 1974 was a critical turning point in American history. The Watergate scandal shook the White House, gasoline shortages rattled the economy, and pop culture was blazing with television, music, and style. During all this turmoil, the United States Mint quietly struck billions of Lincoln cents bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, coins intended for everyday life. These pennies were produced at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, identified by a bold D; and San Francisco, where elegant proof coins carry a graceful S. While the vast majority of these pennies were used casually in daily purchases and worn down over time, a rare few survived the decades in flawless, untouched condition, and that's where the real excitement begins. Let's take a closer look at this familiar but fascinating coin. On the front, or obverse, we find the noble image of Abraham Lincoln captured by artist Victor David Brenner. Every strand of hair, each curve of his beard, and the deep set of his eye were carefully engraved. Surrounding him are the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the all-important date 1974. Flip the coin to the reverse and you'll see the magnificent Lincoln Memorial in all its glory, columns standing tall, steps leading upward, and if you look closely with a magnifying glass, you will even spot the tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside. Above and below are the inscriptions "United States of America" and 1 cent, with the phrase "E pluribus unum" standing between them. But it's the mint mark, right by the date on the front, that can hold the key to value, whether it be a D from Denver, an S from San Francisco, or no mint mark at all from Philadelphia. Each variation can make a huge difference in the eyes of collectors. Though these pennies were made in large numbers, nearly all of them were spent, scratched, and worn over time. Only a tiny fraction remain in what collectors call red mint state condition, brilliant, glowing copper with no sign of circulation wear. These prized pennies are graded by professional services such as PCGS and NGC with numerical scores like MS65, MS66, or MS67 for the most flawless examples. Coins that receive these high grades ignite fierce bidding wars at auctions because collectors want only the sharpest, most perfect pieces for their collections. If the surfaces are bright red, the letters crisp, and Lincoln's cheek and jawline show sharp untouched detail, the value begins to climb. Combine that condition with a rare mint mark such as Denver's D or San Francisco's S, and now you are holding a genuine numismatic treasure. On top of condition, 1974 is famous for its spectacular mint errors, mistakes during coin production that slipped into circulation. Examples include double die obverse, where letters such as Liberty or the date show ghost-like doubling due to a double strike. There are clipped planchets, where a sliver of copper is missing from the edge of the coin, giving it a crescent-shaped cut. There are off-center strikes, where Lincoln's portrait is pushed toward one side, leaving blank space on the other. Some coins even have strange die cracks that run across the surface like lightning bolts or repunched mint marks where the D or S was struck twice. Each of these errors transforms the penny into a one-of-a-kind collectible that can fetch astonishing sums of money, especially when combined with top-grade condition. So how do you check your 1974 pennies for value? Start with a bright light and magnifying glass. Look at Lincoln's face. Are the cheek and jaw sharp and unworn, or flattened and dull? High points of wear will decrease value. Next, examine the color. Is the coin a lustrous bright copper red, or has it darkened to brown? Original red luster is preferred by collectors. Flip the coin over and inspect the Lincoln Memorial. Can you see all of the tiny steps clearly? That level of detail suggests a strong strike. Then, check near the date for the mint mark. A bold D or S is more desirable than a Philadelphia coin with no mark. Finally, carefully scan every letter and number. Do any look doubled? Does anything look off-center, misshapen, cracked, or clipped? Any unusual features could raise your penny's value substantially. If your coin appears flawless or shows something unusual, it is well worth submitting to a grading service to determine its official grade and maximize its market value. Collectors everywhere are waking up to the power of modern Lincoln cents. With interest exploding and the number of pristine coins shrinking every year, now is the perfect time to start searching through your own stash. Look through bank rolls, inherited coin collections, jars stored under the bed, or even that Ziploc bag of change you keep in your car. You never know, Waiting among the pennies could be a truly remarkable coin that has been silently gaining value year after year, just waiting for someone to recognize its true worth. And now comes the moment you've been waiting for. If you are fortunate enough to discover a 1974 Lincoln 1-cent penny with the right mint mark in breathtaking uncirculated condition, it could be worth an astonishing $88,000.